When I first got off of Xanax in early 2014, I still had a lot of Xanax laying around the house, maybe hundreds of milligrams, because I kept filling my prescription even as I was tapering, I guess just in case. But even though I had so many milligrams of the Benzo sitting there right in my home office, easily accessible, I never went back to it. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons why. In one of my last videos, I talked about some of the things that were off kilter or painful while I was taking the Xanax. And today I'm going to talk about the withdrawal and why what I went through during that process caused me to really hate the medication. Stay tuned. I think you'll enjoy the video.
So here's to life. And every joy it brings. So here's to life.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to The Lovely Grind. My name is Michael Preby, and my website is lovelygrind.com. That's where you're going to find blog posts about health, healing, and happiness. That's also where you'll find some ebooks, some information about my coaching sessions, and the opportunity to sign up for my free monthly newsletter about health and healing topics. So I hope you'll stop by there and check that out. You can also find me on Facebook at Lovely Grind and Instagram at Lovely Grind Lifestyle. Welcome back to this YouTube channel about prescription drug withdrawal and healing from that withdrawal. And welcome to this video, which is specifically about my Xanax withdrawal. You know, what happened when I got off of that Benzodiazepine that I'd taken for about 14 years daily. Well, a lot of things happened. But first, let's start with my decision to finally jump off of my last dose. I had tapered for a little over a year, and I was taking about 4 or 5 milligrams daily at the beginning of that taper, although sometimes more because I was so dependent on it, and I would run out of refills early sometimes and take more than I was supposed to. But anyways, got to about 0.375 milligrams, and I decided the time had come for me to stop the taper. And by the way, that's not a recommendation. I think people should take it down very, very low, to the point of crumbs if necessary, but this is just what happened in my case. So anyway, the time had come. I was at about 0.375 and my grandmother died, and something about that event just spurred something in me to think, okay, it's now or never. It's get busy living or get busy dying, because we're not going to be sticking around on this planet forever. You know, it was that emotion and that thought process coupled with the fact that I'd also have a little time off from work for bereavement leave. So in case the bottom fell out on me after I totally quit the medications, I could have the bottom fall out in the privacy of my own apartment. Well, I got through the first day. I even got through my grandmother's funeral without the medication. And I got through the subsequent days. But there was a lot of symptoms and a lot of pain, both as I tapered and for a while as I was off the medication. So what were those symptoms? Well, I'll just read some of them to you because the list is pretty lengthy, and I think it would be better if I just read it off paper. High anxiety, terrible nerve pain in my back and legs, tight muscles, especially when I was around any stress, nausea, headaches, pain above the bridge of my nose, head pressure, sensation of my brain trembling or moving around in my head, body aches, a fear of making plans or committing to anything, mental fog and confusion, dizziness, pounding heart, irritability, difficulty enjoying myself or being in the moment, sleep problems, terrible ringing in the ears, difficulty breathing when exercising even lightly, dizziness, disturbing or intrusive images or phrases that will get stuck in the head, just the sensation of being stuck in my own head more often than not, and depression about it all. And that list is not exhaustive. You know, there's things that I experienced that I know aren't going to make it on that list because I didn't think of them right away. And there's things you might be going through that aren't going to be on that list because there's just so many different symptoms of withdrawal. So that's a lot to go through. And that's a painful thing to go through when we're experiencing all these physical, emotional, and mental symptoms. And the doctors aren't always a lot of help. The doctors I went to, the handful of times I went to doctors during withdrawal, they weren't any help at all. They were dismissive. And that was heartbreaking because I was just looking for advice, guidance, or at the very least, a little bit of support. And I didn't get those things. I had to find those things on my own and find a way forward on my own. But I did find a way forward. I did find a way forward through all the things I talk about, through creating your own best healing environment, which I work to do through physical measures like diet and exercise, but also through emotional and mental measures, finding the proper ideas, finding proper stress management, reducing stress in my life, making plans for the future that excited me, to put good thoughts into my head and therefore relax the body and mind to a place where more healing could happen, and talking to people about what I was going through, finding reassurance I wasn't crazy, finding hope that it would all blow over. Those were important conversations, and I oftentimes had them with my family members. Maybe you have them with your family members, or with a coach like myself, or with a therapist, or with a pastor, or whatever it is. We all need guidance and support. Those things are important as we're going through this process that few people understand. So, again, in my last video, I listed reasons why life on the benzo medication wasn't great all the time. I felt checked out a lot of the time. I was so dependent on it. My anxiety got worse, especially with the interdose withdrawals and eventually the tolerance withdrawal, but also because I wasn't working on managing it through exercise or thought processes and self-image and stuff like that. But also I just felt that I was so dependent on the system, not only on the medications to supposedly help anxiety, but just on the whole system. Like I was beholden to doctor's visits, refills. I had to, again, there was times when I ran out early and I had to beg for an early refill. And I just felt like the lowest of the low when I did that. But that's a part of life on benzos, or it can be for many of us. So I was just glad to put that whole chapter behind me. And doesn't mean I'm putting that whole part of my life behind me. I like my life. I liked it back then. I had a lot of good things in my life, but I want to put that part of it behind me and move on. And that's what finally making the decision to get off the benzo medications allowed me to do. And even though the withdrawal was difficult for me, it didn't last forever. And it was just a temporary process as my body and mind got more used to doing life without the medications. So today, if you're going through withdrawal, or if you're thinking about making the decision to get off of these medications, know that healing is possible. Know that it is possible to live without this stuff. Even if you were once upon a time diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, a panic disorder, or whatever. A person can live without those medications if they put the work in. And a person going through withdrawal can find healing, but that takes a little work too, and we have to put the effort in. But that's the most important thing you can hear today, is that there's life after these medications, there's life after withdrawal, and it's going to be good for you. You just have to keep finding ways to encourage yourself and staying hopeful as you move step by step through the process. My name is Michael Preby. Again, my website's lovelygrind.com. I hope you'll stop there and check that out and find me on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, please remember to take care of yourself and your dreams.